Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into No Such Time to Make. Let me turn on this light back here because the light's moving in that way, and there's none coming out from here. That's a little bit better. Still got a lot of light coming in from the side there, unfortunately. Um, so, yeah, hold on a second. Let me do something here. So we're getting into reading 11, 12, and 13, 14 of Samuel 2 today. So let me get this all set up here. Come on, load. I did not know that the Starbucks card I was using had I try not to look too deep into certain things, but somebody warned me that was in my chat and in my comment section, that this is a sea spirit, so I'm probably not gonna use that card anymore in my Bible, because somebody pointed that out, because I do believe that those do affect that demons affect people through ways that we don't pick up on sometimes. So you'll see a person be affected by it. So I got another card in there. I got my card for my job. Unfortunately, this is glossy, so it slips out sometimes. So that's the only reason I switched it out. Um, but I know that's funny, but at the same time, you never know. All right, so depending on how short some of the chapters are in this, because so far I'm looking at 11 and 12. That looks pretty short. So 13 is pretty long, and 14 is pretty long. So we're good. We'll be able to read through a full 4 chapters today instead of 5. I've been doing 5 just because they're really short compared to what I mostly do. So, all right. David and Bathsheba, chapter 11. In the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, David sent Joab out with the king's men and the whole Israelite army. They destroyed the Ammonites and besieged Rabbah. But David remained in Jerusalem. One evening, David got up from his bed and walked around on the floor of the palace from the roof. He saw a woman bathing. The woman was very beautiful, and David sent someone to find out about her. The man said, hold on a second, let me go ahead and do something here real quick. All right. The man said, she is Bathsheba, the daughter of Elam, and the wife of Uriah the Hittite. Then David sent messengers to get her. She came to him, and he slept with her. Now she was purifying herself for her monthly uncleanse. Then she went back home. The woman conceived and sent word to David, saying, I am pregnant. So David sent this word to Joab, send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent him to David. When Uriah came to him, David asked him how Joab was, how the soldiers were, and how the war was gone. Then David said to Uriah, go down to the house and wash your feet. So Uriah left the palace, and a gift from the king was sent to him. Was sent after him. But Uriah slept at the entrance of the palace with all of his master's servants, and did not go down to his house. David was told Uriah did not go home. So he asked Uriah, haven't you just come from a military campaign? Why didn't you go home? Uriah said to David, the ark and Israel and Judah are staying in a tent, in tents, and my commander Joab, my Lord's men are camped in the open country. How could I go to my house to eat and drink and make love to my wife? As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing. Then David said to him, Stay here one more day, and tomorrow I'll send you back. So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next. At David's invitation, he ate and drank with him, and David made him drunk. But in the evening, Uriah went out to sleep on his mat among his master's servants, and he did not go home. In the morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it with Uriah. In it, he wrote, Put Uriah out in front where the fighting is fiercest, then withdraw him so he will be struck down and die. So while Joab had the city under siege, he put Uriah at a place where he knew the strongest defenders were. The men of the city came out and fought against Joab. Some of the men in David's army fell over more. Uriah the Hittite died. Joab sent David a full account of the battle. He instructed the messengers, when you have finished giving the king this account of the battle, the king's anger may flare up, and he may ask you, Why did you get so close to the city to fight? Didn't you know they would shoot arrows from the wall? Who killed Abimelech, son of Jerub Bethshesh? Didn't a woman drop an upper millstone on him from a wall, so he died in the Bez? Why did you get so close to the wall? If he asks you this, then say to him, Moreover, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead. The messenger sent out, and when he arrived, he told David everything Joab had sent to him to say. The messenger said to David, The men overpowered us and came out against us in the open, but we drove them back to the entrance of the city gate. Then the archers shot arrows at your servants from the wall, and some of the king's men died. Moreover, the servant Uriah the Hittite is dead. David told the messenger, Say this to Joab, Don't let this upset you. The sword devour one as well as another. Press the attack against the city and destroy it. They say this to encourage Joab. When Uriah's wife heard that her husband was dead, she mourned for him. After the time of mourning was over, David had her brought to his house, and she became his wife and bore him a son. But the thing David had done displeased the Lord. So, I was going to say, David had to have been upsetting the Lord with that one. I can't even believe David was so good under God, and then this one woman literally made him feel a certain way, so he's like, oh, I gotta sleep with this woman that's married. I don't understand it, because this man has like a bunch of women surrounding him. Why would he go after a man's wife? That's something that is very interesting, to say the least, because looking back at David's story, David already had all these wives, so why would he feel the need to steal a man's wife? That's something that that's interesting, man. That's crazy. I just don't understand why David would do that. And that's why I say a man can have many things, or anybody can have many things and still feel the need to want more of something. And then they'll ruin something for somebody else, like David did here by killing her husband. Um, it's bad. It's bad when it gets to that level when you feel the need to want more, and you do harm, like not just harm, you do bad to another human being because you want something so badly that you treat another human being with disrespect and all that. And that is something that I will say for myself. I don't like doing to people. I when I get things, I leave it go. Um, but when it and then put people will go in and try to ruin it for me normally, and that's why I'll react back because I'm basically I could have like I could have something good happen to me, all right, and somebody out there will find the means to just be like, I don't like that he's doing this. Let's just screw him over, and then this happens where people that always have more feel the need to upset and ruin somebody else's happiness for their own well-being, even though they already have a bunch of other things. Like, I know so many people that do that kind of stuff to me, and it's just sad that they resort to that route of being like really bad, where they ruin stuff for somebody, you know. And I don't think I do it, but I'm sure I haven't had an experience where I felt the need to like ruin something for somebody else or take something from somebody else. I that's just a lot of people who do that to me though. It's kind of bad. All right. Nathan rebukes David, chapter 12. The Lord sent Nathan to David. When he came to him, he said, there were two men in a certain town, one rich and other poor, and the other poor. The rich man had a very large number of sheep and cattle, but the poor man had nothing except one little wee lamb, and had brought and he one little wee lamb he had brought. He raised it, grew it up, grew he raised it and it grew up with him and his children. It shared his uh, food, drank from his cup, and slept in his arms. It was like a daughter to him. Now a traveler came to a rich man, but the rich man refrained from taking one of his own sheep or cattle to prepare a meal for the traveler who had come to him. Instead, he took the wee lamb that belonged to the poor man and prepared it for one the one who had come to him. Sorry, guys. Ooh. Well, I know there's one person in here, so I hope you said bless you at least. David burned in anger against the man and said to Nathan, as surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this must die. He must pay for the lamb 4 times over, because he did such a thing, and had no pity. Nathan said to David, you are the man. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. David's being told back to himself what's about to be, what he needed to be, what he needed to be, what he needed to hear. All right. I say, anointed. All right. You are the man. This is what the Lord God, the Lord God of Israel, it says. I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you from the hand of Saul. I gave your master's house to you, and your master's wives into your arms. I gave you all Israel and Judah, and if all this had been too little, I would have even given you more. Why did you despise the word of the Lord by doing what is evil in his eyes? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and took his wife to be your own. You killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Now therefore, the sword will never depart from your house, because you despise me. You took the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your own. So God's basically mad at this. God's mad at David right now for doing that. Such a bad thing. And you know, I think I'm pretty sure David has stuff happen to him now from here on out because he did such a bad, awful thing. This is what the Lord says: out of your own household, I am going to bring you calamity. I'm going to bring calamity upon you. Before your very eyes, I will take your wives and give them to one who is close to you, and he will sleep with your wives in broad daylight. You did it in secret, but I will do this thing in broad daylight before all Israel. Then David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Sometimes, I'm going to say that, sometimes I felt that, you know, there's a lot of people around me that do rude, disruptful things around me. And sometimes I've always felt like the Lord tried to send me men's wives and stuff like that. I'm like, and I look at it this way. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe something awful happened in their marriage, and that's why God would be doing that. So, that's why God would send somebody your way from a marriage or something like that. Nathanael replied, the Lord has taken away your sin. You are not going to die, but because by doing this you have shown utter contempt for the Lord, the son born to you will die. After Nathan had gone home, the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife had borne to David, and he became ill. David pleaded with God for the child. He fasted and spent the night lying in sackcloth on the ground. The elder of the house stood beside him to get up from the ground, but he refused. He would not eat any food with them. On the seventh day, the child died. David's attendants were afraid to tell him that the child was dead, for they thought, while the child was still living, he wouldn't listen to us. We spoke to him. How can we tell him the child is dead? He may do something desperate. David noticed that his attendants were whispering among themselves, and he realized the child was dead. Is the child dead? He asked. Yes, they replied, he is dead. Then David got up from the ground after he had washed up, put on lotions, and changed his clothes. He went into the house of the Lord and worshipped. Then he went to his own house, and at his request they served him food, and he ate. His attendants asked him, why are you acting this way? While the child was alive, he fasted and wept. But now that child is dead. You get up and eat. He answered, while the child was still alive, I fasted and wept. I thought, who knows? The Lord may be gracious to me and let the child live. But now that he is dead, why should I go on fasting? Can I bring him back again? I will go to him, but he will not return to me. Then David comforted his wife, Bathsheba, and he went to her and made love to her. She gave birth to a son, and they named him Solomon. The Lord loved him, and because the Lord loved him, he sent word through Nathan the prophet to name him Jedediah. Meanwhile, Joab fought against Rabbah of the Ammonites and captured the royal cities, the royal citadel. Joab sent messengers to David, saying, I have fought against Rabbah and taken its water supply. Now muster the feet of the troops and besiege the city and capture it. Otherwise, I will take the city, and it will be named after me. So David mustered the entire army and went to Rabbah and attacked the capture and attacked and captured it. David took the crown from the king's head, and it was placed on his own head. It weighed a talent of gold, and it was set with precious stones. David took a great quantity of plunder from the city and brought out the people who were there, consigning them to the labor with saws and with iron picks and axes. He made them work at brickmaking. David did this to all the Ammonites towns. Then he and his entire army returned to Jerusalem. So as you can see there, David had stuff happen to him because of what happened and because of how like selfish and what he did to that guy. Uh, it's that's bad. If like I said, if people do that. People used to do that to me all the time, and I'm never about really getting even. I have my moments where I get mad and tell people I tell people how I feel about stuff, but I never go out of my way to try to get even, and that's something you'll pick up about me. And there's a lot of people who have, they thrown me under the bus because they are their own selfish needs, and it it's really bad sometimes. And I really wish people didn't, do that sometimes to me. Um, but we live in a society that's filled with revenge, guilt, all that great stuff that makes us human beings, but at the same time, stuff that makes us, into bad human beings because you know, we feel the need to like, go after somebody out of spitefulness or something like that. So Amnon and Tamar, chapter 13. In the course of time, Amnon, son of David, fell in love with Tamar, the beautiful sister of Absalom, son of David. Amnon became so obsessed with his sister Tamar that he made himself ill. She was a virgin, and it seemed impossible for him to do anything to her. Amnon had an advisor named Jonadab, son of Sheshama. David's brother, Jonadab, was a very shrewd man. He asks Amnon, "Why do you, the king's son, look haggard? Morning after morning, won't you tell me?" Amnon said to him, "I'm in love with Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. Go to bed and pretend to be ill." Jonadab said, "When your father comes to see you, say to him, I would like my sister Tamar to come and give me something to eat. Let her prepare the food in my sight, so I may watch her and then eat it from her hand." So Amnon lay down and pretended to be ill. When the king came to see him, Amnon said to him, "I would like my sister Tamar to come and make special bread in my sight, so I may eat it from her hand." It's about to get weird. David sent word to Tamar at the palace, "Go to the house of your brother Amnon and prepare some food for him." So Tamar went to the house of her brother Amnon, who was laying down. She took some dough, kneaded it, made some bread in his sight, and baked it. Then she took the pan and served him the bread, but he refused to eat it. "Everyone, send everyone out here." Amnon said. Everyone left him. Then Amnon said to Tamar, "Bring the food here into my bedroom, so I may eat it from your hand." Tamar took the bread she had prepared and brought it to her brother. Amnon, in his bed, But once she took it to him to eat, he grabbed her and said, "Come to my bed with me, sister." "No, brother," she said to him. "Don't force me. Such a thing should not be done in Israel. Don't do this wicked thing. What about me? Where could I get rid of my disgrace? And what about you? Would you be like one of my wicked fools in Israel? Please speak to the king. He will not keep me from being married to you." But he refused to listen to her, and since he was uh, stronger than she, he raped her. Then Amano hated her with intense hatred. In fact, he hated her more than he had loved her. Amnon said to her, "Get up, get out." "No," she said to him. "Sending me away would be greater wrong than what you have already done to me." But he refused to listen to her. He called his personal servant and said, "Get this woman and get this woman out of my sight, and bolt the door after her." So his servant put her out and bolted the door after her. She was wearing an ornate robe, for this was the kind of garment virgin daughters of kings wore. Tamar put ashes on her head and tore the ornate robe she was wearing. She put her hand on her head and went away weeping aloud. As she went, her brother Absalom said to her, "Has that Amnon, your brother, been with you? Be quiet. For now, my sister, he is your brother. Don't take this thing to heart." And Tamar lived in her brother's Absalom's house, a desolate woman. When King David heard all this, he was furious, and Absalom never said a word to Amnon, either good or bad. He hated Amnon because he had disgraced his sister Tamar. All right, Absalom. So I don't even believe what I just read, but it happens. So this dude asks for this girl to come in, feed him, his sister, and he raped his sister. That's awful. That's awful. Like, I don't understand. You know, the world back then was a lot easier. You can probably go out and find yourself a wife out in the world and stuff like that. It's amazing what I'm reading in the Bible and how like this guy could have like simply went out into the world and found himself a woman or a wife or something like that. But that's kind of like where you know I don't understand having feelings for your sister. I would never understand that. There's people in the world that are actually like that this day. I'm not saying that there aren't, but like I'm 100% sure there are, you know, and that's the worst part about it. It's like pay attention to these stories in the Bible too. Just remember they try to keep everything within bloodline. So example, you know, David as king. He was in a bloodline of another couple kings, and well, not David, but like Saul. Saul was connected to other kings, and then David took over the kingdom because Saul handed it over to him, which was a switch in kings. So, but most kings have to keep the bloodline going, so they like intermingle with their own family, which is not something. It's disgusting, but at the same time, that's what keeping your bloodline together as king does. Thank you, Alex Q. Uh, God bless you too. All right. Absalom kills Amnon. 2 years later, when Absalom's sheep shear were at Baal Hazor near the border, of Ephraim, he invited all the king's sons to come there. Absalom went to the king and said, "Your servant had shears come. Will the king and his attendants please join me?" "No, my son," the king replied. "All of us should not go. We would only be a burden to you." Although Absalom urged him, he still refused to go, but gave him his blessing. Then Absalom said, "If not, please let my brother Amnon come with us." The king asked him, "Why should we go with you?" But Absalom urged him, so he sent with him Amnon and the rest of the king's sons. Absalom ordered his men, "Listen, when Amnon is in high spirits for drinking wine, and say to you, 'Strike Amnon down,' then kill him. Don't be afraid. Haven't I given you this order? Be strong and brave." So Absalom's man, did to Amnon what Absalom had ordered. Then all the king's sons got up, mounted the mules, and fled. While they were on their way, the report came to David. Absalom struck down all the king's sons. Not one of them is left. The king stood up, tore his clothes, and lay down on the ground. And all his attendants stood by with their clothes torn. So Jonadab, son of Sheshma, David's brother, said, "My lord should not think that they killed all the princes. Only Amnon is dead. That is, this has been Absalom's express intention. Ever since the day Amnon raped his sister, my lord the king should not be concerned about the report that all the king's sons are dead. Only Amnon is dead." Meanwhile, Absalom had fled. Now the man standing watched over and saw many people on the road west of him coming down the hillside. The watchman went and told the king, "I see the men in the direction of Horonim on the hill of on the side of the hill." Jonadab said to the king, "See, the king's sons have come. It has happened just as your servant said." He finished speaking. The king's sons came in wailing loudly. The king too, and all his attendants wept very bitterly. Absalom fled and went to Talim, son of Ammihud, the son of Geshur, but King David mourned many days for his son. After Absalom fled and went to Geshur, he stayed there 3 days, and King David longed to go to Absalom, for he was consulted concerning Amnon's death. See, I think Absalom was trying to do what was. I bet the Lord told him to do that. I bet the Lord told him to take him out there and kill him like that. But I could be wrong. Now, for what happened with his sister and all that, it was a very, very bad sin. And I I look at it this way: if Absalom got rid of him, then maybe the Lord told him to do it. Maybe the Lord, because think about this. Not only David is following the Lord, David follows the Lord very, very well, but there's people in this book that are also following the Lord's rules and what the Lord is telling them, as the story goes on. You'll see that. You'll see that there's people in this book that follows the Lord just as much as David does. It isn't actually said as much, but going back to Aaron. Aaron was a prophet. Aaron was helping Moses. So, You just have to look at it that way. All right, so we're on chapter 14 right now. Absalom returns to Jerusalem. Chapter 14. Joab, son of Zariah, knew that the king's heart longed for Absalom, so Joab sent someone to Tekoa and had a wise woman brought from there. He said to her, "Pretend you are in mourning, dressed in mourning clothes, and do not use any cosmetic lotions. Act like a woman who has spent days grieving for the dead. Then go to the king and speak these words to him." And Joab put the words in her mouth. When the woman took Tekoa, when the woman from Tekoa went to the king, she fell with her face on the ground to him, ground to pay him honor, and she said, "Help me, your majesty." The king asked her, "What is troubling you?" She said, "I am a widow. My husband is dead. I, your servant, and I, your servant, had two sons. They got into a fight with each other in the field, and no one was there to separate them. One struck another and killed them. Now the whole clan has risen up against your servant. They say, hand over the one who struck his brother down, so that he may be put to death for his brother's life, whom he killed. When we then we will get rid of the heir as well. They would put out the only burning coal I have left, leaving my husband neither name nor descended on the face of the earth." The king said to the woman, "Go home, and I will issue an order in your behalf." But the woman from Tekoa said to him, "Let the Lord King pardon me and my family, and let the king and his throne be without guilt." The king replied, "If anyone says anything to you, bring them to me, and they will not bother you again." She said, "Then let the king invoke the Lord his God to prevent the avenger of blood from adding to the destruction, so that my son will not be destroyed. As surely as the Lord lives," he said, "not one hair on your son's head will fall into the ground." Then the woman said, "Let your servant speak a word to my lord, the king." "Speak," he replied. The woman said, "Why then have you devised a thing like this against the people of God?" When the king says this, does he not convict himself for the king for that? For the king has not brought back his banished sons. Like water spilled on the ground, which cannot be recovered, so we must die. But that is not what God desired. Rather, he devises ways so that a banished person does not remain banished from him. And now I have come to say this to my lord, the king, because the people have made me afraid. Your servant thought, I will speak to the king. Perhaps he will grant his servant's request. Perhaps the king will agree to deliver his servant from the hand of the man who is trying to cut off both me and my son from God's inheritance. And now your servant says, may the word of the Lord secure my inheritance, for the Lord the king is like an angel of God in discerning good and evil. May the Lord your God be with you. The king said to the woman, don't keep me from the answer to what I am going to ask you. Let the Lord the king speak. The woman said, the king asked, isn't the hand of Joab with you in all this? The woman answered, as surely as you live, my lord, the king, no one can turn to the right or to the left from anything my lord, the king says. Yes, it was your servant Joab who instructed me to do this and who put all these words in the mouth of your servants. Your servant Joab did this to change the present situation. The Lord has wisdom like that of an angel of God. He knows everything that happens in the land. The king said to Joab, very well, I will do it. Go bring back the young man Absalom. Joab fell with his face to the ground to pay him honor and blessed him, the king. Joab said, today your servant knows that he has found favor in your eyes, my lord, the king, because the king has granted his servant's request. Then Joab went to Geshur and brought Absalom back to Jerusalem, but the king said he must go to his own house. He must not see my face. So Absalom went to his own house and did not see the face of the king. In all Israel, there was not a man so highly praised for his handsome appearance as Absalom. From the top of his head to the sole of his feet, there was no blemish in him. Whenever he cut the hair of his head, he used to cut his hair once a year because it became too heavy for him. He would weigh it, and its weight was 200 shekels. But the royal standard, by the royal standard, 3 sons and daughters were born to Absalom. His daughter's name Tamar, and she became a beautiful woman. Absalom lived 2 years in Jerusalem without seeing the king's face. Then Absalom sent for Joab in order to send him to the king, but Joab refused to come to him. So he sent a second time, but he refused to come then. He said to his servant, look, Joab's field is next to mine, and he's barely there. Go and set it on fire. So Absalom's servant set the field on fire. Then Joab did to Absalom's house and said to him, why have your servants set my field on fire? Absalom said to Joab, look, I sent word to you and said, come, so I can send you to the king. So I can send you to the king to ask, why have I come from Geshur? It would be better for me if I were still there. Now then, I want to see the king's face, and if I am guilty of anything, let him put me to death. So Joab went to the king and told him this. Then the king summoned Absalom and came in and bowed down with his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. So, yeah, that's kind of rough. Why would somebody burn somebody's house down for not showing up to? That's crazy. All right. So right now, not David, but the king Solomon is the king I'm talking about that has like 700 wives and then ends up turning away from God because some of the wives are paganisms. So, all right. Yeah, some of the wives in King Solomon, they end up like leading him away from God, so that's why he ended up like falling away from God. But we still got a little bit to go. Wow, pretty far in right now. I didn't realize how far I'm in. All right, looking at a couple things. Yeah, we're pretty far in right now. I'm pretty impressed with how far we are right now. I had to get back to reading Proverbs. I've been reading Proverbs, but it's like very, very slowly because I forget to do it before I go to bed, and I usually end up like reading one before I go to bed, but lately I've been just forgetting. But I'm like pretty far in Proverbs actually too. Um, where am I in Proverbs? I'm on like Proverbs 30 right now. So I'm not actually, hey, I'm actually not that far at all. I got like a couple more chapters till I'm done, and I'm in elect. I can't even pronounce it. I'm gonna have to write that. I'm gonna have to look that up and see what that says. But I'm on the next book after that, and then Song of Songs, yeah, and Aisha. So yeah, I'm not too far away from finishing off this book. I just gotta finish off this book, and then I'll go on to the next one. And the reason I'm reading ahead is because I listened to somebody and they took like a week off, and I was like, man, I'm gonna read the Bible because I'm not feeling well right now. Because when I was listening to them read the Bible, I always felt better, and it wasn't because they read the Bible. It's just the Bible in general makes people feel better. So, um, you'll notice that as you read the Bible, you'll start to understand and feel as to why you're reading the Bible. Why when you're reading the Bible, it is it helps you a lot. Um, they actually have proven, if you look at a person's statistic, if you look at a person who before they read the Bible into after they read the Bible, they actually changed a lot, and it took their anxiety and a lot of other things go down as you're reading the Bible. So you see a lot of changes within your life, and it's proven that like I don't know the Bible helps people change in many ways. Like example, I had anxiety for like ever, and now my anxiety isn't very bad. It's like dropped a tremendous amount. You know, and a couple other things have changed in me since I started reading the Bible, which is it's incredible. But you have to read your Bible to make all these changes happen, and you know I'm not even like a lot of people. A lot of people think you need to go to doctors and get help and get medicine and all that. I feel like certain medicine. I feel like medicine just makes you worse, and it doesn't help you. It doesn't help you as much as you think. So, and on top of it, reading the Bible, I looked it up. There's a percentage that like you stuff starts like you change a lot of stuff, and you can tell you're changing, and you can feel the changes within you. And that's why like even with me, I used to as soon as people came into my chat that I disagreed with, I used to get really really mad and say stuff on my channels and all that I used to. But I don't do it anymore. Now when I see somebody come in, I'm more than likely gonna, if I disagree with what you're saying in my chat, hey buddy, you're gonna be dealing with like me blocking you because saying weird stuff in my chat and then doing it to try to upset me. Um, reality, the truth is, some of us we change, and then there's people out there who don't like the fact that we've changed, and they'll try to bring the worst out of us. And I've witnessed people do some off the wall stuff to try to get me to react a certain way. They will even go on to Twitter and act up for me, like, like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing, like, going this far to make somebody act up? And it just wasn't, it's insane because what it proves is that people have that much time on their hand that they'll sit there, they'll watch you, and then find out what website you're using to go and make you look like this awful human being because you're trying to help somebody all along. And I had that the other day where I was following somebody, and somebody just decided that me making a suggestion was for the worst. It was a bad suggestion, and I should have never done it. So I got blocked by the person that I was following. And I'm like, what is the deal here? Like, and then a couple days later, they must have had it must have, I said a prayer for them, but it dawned on them is they must have like needed that change that they needed. So now they're kind of just back. They're kind of back to normal. And I'm gonna keep praying for them because they're still getting over some things. So I'm gonna keep praying for them here. But I really, really think people need to relax on, going, this, you know, pursuing somebody consistently is a bad habit. And it was proved back in Saul and David that pursuing somebody and trying to go after somebody because you don't like something somebody's doing or you disagree with something. You're pursuing somebody because that's, once Saul gave his kingdom over to David and left and David, he kind of stopped pursuing David. But then at some point after he stopped pursuing David, he ended up falling on a sword and dying. So I look at it that way. It'll come right around. If people have the realization they're not supposed to pursue people, which is half of the internet that does that to me, they end up having to fall on their own sword. And that's a metaphor, by the way. Nobody really has swords these days. I mean, people do. But the point I'm trying to make is, like, there's also a metaphor back to life where, you do wrong to somebody consistently. You push them out of somebody's life they're trying to talk to or they're trying to connect with. And I know I still connect with that person. But the thing is, like, when somebody is deliberately, like, trying to pursue you and trying to bring out the worst of you, they will do anything they can to try to get what they want. And I could name some people off right now that have been so busy pursuing me that they don't even realize that they don't even realize what the consequences for pursuing me. And yesterday I had somebody come in here and do that to me, and I instantly blocked them. I shadow banned them, and what I basically did is I was like, I went and reached out to the person that I know wasn't causing the problem, but is connected to the problem. And I told them, I was like, hey, this is the 4th day in a row your people have been coming after me. They've been pursuing me. I think it's time you had a talk with them. And I don't know what's going to happen now, but I hope for their sake they don't end up going back to those people, because those people, all they do is cause drama. When they want something done, they'll cause drama, and that's part of society. That's the part of the society that's just awful. We live in a society where people feel the need to cause drama when they want something done. And when they want something done, or if they're not getting their way, they'll make problems where there's no problems needed. So to solve a problem, when there's a problem that needs solved, what's your best bet? Your best bet is if you don't like something, your best bet is to build a bridge and move along. Your best bet is not to sit there and try to sabotage somebody, because whatever you're trying to sabotage somebody for might not be for you. Might not even be for you. And that is why I reach out to people who are connected to the group and say, hey, this is the 4th day in a row that these people have been after me. After you blocked me. Alright, at this point, I'm not blaming you. I never did blame them. But their people are hard pressed to make sure the internet owes them everything. And that's part of why there's this huge problem on the internet. I see so many people on the internet out there making drama amongst each other, being like, yeah, my YouTube channel is better than your... Who cares? At the end of the day, you're doing your own thing, I'm doing my own thing. And if I connect with somebody, and you're so busy trying to connect with them, and you're so busy trying to pursue me, then it just shows that you're worried about me more than you're worried about your own YouTube career. And that's the weird part about it, is like, people do that kind of stuff, and it's weird that people are like that. That people do feel the need to pursue somebody and make somebody's life harder than it needs to be. There's, and at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I had something happen to where I know by God that I was supposed to connect with that person. That's the weird part about it. And the reason I know is because the moment I went into the mail and picked my coin up, the one I keep showing you guys, which I gotta clean up. It's gotten very dirty since then. This coin right here with Michael on it. So the moment I picked that up and found that, guess what happened? I opened up my Twitter account, and my Twitter account got shut down on me. It got suspended for something I said that wasn't even that bad, actually. And I ended up, my other Twitter account that I am on right now, I was connecting with the person who follows Jesus Christ and reads the Bible and all that. Um, I talk about a lot here. Melanie Mack is the one I'm talking about. I was connecting with her. Well, the other day, I think somebody hardened her heart, hardened my heart. I made a suggestion about something, and she completely blocked me. She blocked me on Twitter because of the fact that there's a person out there that is obsessed with her and has been pursuing me. That every time I remotely get near Melanie Mack, or even try to remotely talk to Melanie Mack, it's been him trying to pursue me to try to destroy me. That's just how it's all been working out. So I'm sure now she knows exactly what I'm talking about, because I reach out to her on Facebook and explain stuff to her that some of these people you think are your friends are not actually your friends. They're trying to pursue people and to try to destroy them because they're looking for her clout. And I also secretly think they're trying to destroy her, but that's something that I speculated, and I'm not gonna sit there and try to I'm not gonna sit there and try to I I'll try to it would be a great opportunity to discuss it more details. I'm not going to I'm not gonna I'm not I'm not into paying for artists. I've had an artist contact me recently. I just don't pay for artists. I do my own thing, uh Inferno Fury. Unfortunately, that's just how it is, because that's how I raised up. I'm like, I raise up myself by doing my own work, and that's part of like the pact I made with Jesus Christ and God from the get-go. So I can't really rely on other people to, these are my blessings, so I can't, I'm not really looking for people to help me on my platform. Sorry, buddy. Um but anyway, I'm going to say a prayer and get out of here. And so, all right, Lord Jesus Christ, I pray to you today to, bring people out, bring, Lord, if somebody's trying to pursue somebody or trying to ruin their life, Lord, protect them. Push people out that are trying to destroy people. Lord, if, Melanie Mack's people are trying to destroy her or ruin her, programs and all that, Lord, please let her know. Please bless her with the eyes of discern, and please bless her with the eyes of being able to see when somebody's out to ruin her, and make her aware that her friends may not be her friends, that they might not be as good people like she thinks they are. Lord, I pray to you, you put this feeling in her, and make her more aware. Lord, if she sees anybody coming her way, make sure you put a warning in her that allows her to know when people are out to pursue her and try to get rid of her, Lord. There's bad people in the world, and I don't like seeing people do horrible stuff to her. She's been through a rough patch, so put that on her, and Lord, also put angels in her life to protect her, and whatever she's dealing with, if she's still dealing with demons, Lord, kick those demons out, kick them out, Lord. And also, Lord, I put the prayer yesterday to break her curses if she has any. I put that prayer to break my curses yesterday, Lord, and I put that in a few places. So Lord, make sure that's working, and make sure people are not getting cursed anymore. Lord, that prayer, I put that everywhere so people could see it, so you could put the Holy Spirit in them and make sure they're not being cursed, Lord. Also, Lord, I pray you just protect us from being cursed, protect us, protect our blessings, bring people into our lives that want to be in our lives instead of people that want to look for us for clout or out to destroy us, Lord. Um, I broke my curses yesterday with that prayer by putting that prayer everywhere, Lord, and so I just need you to start protecting me, protect my blessings, anything that's coming near me, Lord, and just make sure that everything right now from here on out is good for me. Bless Melanie Mack as well. She needs a lot of blessings. She's been through rough patches in the past few months, Lord, and just protect and bless those who need blessed. In Jesus' name, amen. So, alright, there you go. I'm done for the day. It's officially 12 o'clock, and I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow morning for another stream. I'm about to go and put a short up, and then, yeah, that'll be it for me today, and then you'll see me late tonight putting a short up. So, alright, have a good day, take it easy, and God bless you.